$47,000. You are sitting at the kitchen table. It is tax season. Your father hands you his W-2 because you are the one in the family who understands these things now. You look at the number, you look at it again. He worked an entire year to make what you made in 8 months. Behind you, the TV is on. Plates are drying near the sink. Something is simmering on the stove. Your father is in the other room, waiting for you to tell him what to sign. He has no idea why you suddenly stop talking. You don't cry loudly. It's not that kind of moment. It's quieter than that. It sits in your chest like a stone that was always there, but you just now finally felt its weight. You are not crying because you think you are better than him. You are crying because you finally understand how heavy his life actually was. Every year, every single year, without complaint, without explanation, without anyone measuring it correctly. Some financial distances cannot be explained to the people who sacrifice to create them. That is what this story is about. Not getting rich, not winning, not arriving. It is about crossing an invisible line and realizing the crossing itself changes you, quietly, permanently, in ways the people behind that line may never fully see. You did not grow up in dramatic poverty. There was no single devastating moment. No eviction notice taped to the door. No Christmas without presents. It was quieter than that. It was permanent calculation. It was watching the grocery store cashier wait, while your mother did math in her head that no one asked her to show. It was learning her face before she learned the total. It was already knowing, at 8 years old, before anyone said a word, whether this was a good week or a hard one. You learned to read financial stress, the way other kids learn to read weather. A certain silence at the dinner table, a phone call taken in another room, the way adults said "we'll see" when what they meant was no. You learned to stop wanting things out loud. Not because anyone told you to, but because you had already developed a small, precise internal system for knowing which ones were safe to say, and which ones created invisible pressure on people who were already carrying too much. At the grocery store checkout, you studied the card reader like it was a verdict. Swipe, wait, relief or not relief. You were not anxious about big things. You were anxious about the 2-second pause before approval. That pause lives in your body to this day. You still feel it, even now, even when the number in your account makes that fear irrational. The pause still comes, the chest still tightens, the hand still hesitates. Rule number 1. Financial beliefs learned before age 10 become reflexes, not opinions. Nobody taught you scarcity. You absorbed it. And the thing about reflexes is that logic alone doesn't undo them. The first time you saw 4 digits stay in your checking account after rent, you didn't celebrate. You checked it again. Then you checked it the next morning. You were waiting for it to be wrong. That's what financial stability feels like at first. Not relief, suspicion. Maybe it was an $847 tax refund that first showed you what a small financial cushion felt like. Maybe it was a $3,000 savings account, the first time you had ever saved $3,000. Maybe it was just 1 month where nothing broke, nothing was late, and the number didn't drop below what scared you. Whatever it was, it felt unreal, like money that had been placed there by accident and would shortly be corrected. Meanwhile, at work, you were learning a different skill. You were learning to translate yourself. The stories from home became funny. The hard things became character building. You found the version of your past that fit inside a conversation without making anyone uncomfortable. You learned to give people the edited cut. But the calls from home carried a different frequency. You always knew. There was always a small pause before the real reason appeared. A bill, a late payment, a car repair that came at the wrong time, rent. And without anyone deciding this, without anyone asking, you started becoming something. You became the family's emergency contact. Not by choice, not with resentment, simply because you were the first person in the family who had extra. And extra in a family that never had it is not personal, it's infrastructure. You said yes. Every time or almost every time you said yes. Not because it was always right, but because you remembered the grocery store. You remembered the pause. And you could not bring yourself to let them feel that pause if you had the power to stop it. That is a kind of love. It is also a kind of trap. And the hardest thing is that it is both things at exactly the same time. Rule number 2. The first person to escape survival mode becomes everyone else's emergency contact. There is a number, around $47,000 to $71,000 in net worth, not income. Net worth. Something happens in your body that you do not expect. One bad month stops threatening your entire life. Not luxury, not freedom. Just one bad month no longer destroys everything. That's it. That is the whole shift. And it is more profound than anything you expected money to feel like. You start sleeping differently. Not deeper exactly, but quieter. The mental math that used to run on a low loop in the background starts to slow down. You buy groceries without adding things up before you reach the register. The first time this happens, you don't even notice until you're already outside. The debt is gone or nearly gone. There is an emergency fund. There is a retirement account with small, real numbers in it. The month ends, and the number in your account is higher than when it started. This is what security feels like. Not exciting, not cinematic, just quieter. And then, in the middle of this quieter life, you try to explain a Roth IRA to your parents. You try to explain compound interest. You try to explain why starting now matters. And you watch their eyes. You watch the polite nodding. And you realize there is a language you have learned that has no easy translation. Not because they are not intelligent, but because this language requires a foundation of safety that they never had the chance to stand on long enough to need the words. You cannot give them the 10 years of context it took you to understand what you now understand. You can only try, clumsily, to describe a room they've never been inside. The loneliness of that moment is something you didn't expect wealth to come with. Rule number 3. The first generation doesn't inherit wealth. They absorb instability so the next generation won't have to. Go back to the kitchen table. Go back to the W-2. Look at it again, not with the eyes you had then, but with the ones you have now. You don't see limitation anymore. You see endurance. You see a man who showed up for 30 years to a job that never paid him what he was worth, who never once explained to you how heavy the weight was, because explaining it would have made you carry it too. And he did not want you to carry it. That was always the whole point. Your children, if you have them when you have them, will not understand certain things. They will not understand declined cards. They will not understand overdraft fees at 2 a.m. They will not understand the grocery store pause, or the shame hidden inside small financial decisions that other people make without thinking. They will not understand why you check your account balance even when you know it's fine. Why you hesitate before spending money on something you can clearly afford. Why you still feel Some quiet Tuesday for no reason at all, like something is about to run out. They will not understand those things because you took them. You absorbed them. You carried them out of the house so they wouldn't have to. Just like he did for you. He built the floor. You are building the ceiling, and your children will never see the cracks in either.